Well, this episode certainly picked up the tempo, and the action was just crazy. I never thought a dodgeball game could be this freaking awesome. Hunter, Hunter, episode 69, a heated showdown.
Holy Lord! Well, hello, my brothers and sisters and hunters of the Nerd Nation. I, as always, am Jim, here to bring you another review on the awesome and action-packed and Nen dodgeball heavy tale of Hunter Hunter. Now, our last episode, of course, saw us with really, Gon and his group challenging Razor and his group, and of course not even having a chance to win, and then them going and trying to rebuild their team. They wound up recruiting Hisoka. Gorenyu is one of the only other guys that's with them, so it's Gon, Killua, Bisky, Hisoka, and Gorenyu. And they decided that they were going to go and meet with Sagara's team and actually talk with him and see about teaming up. So that's kind of where things left off. And that's right where things pick up. Sagara actually realizes that it would be good to go and team up, especially considering they're trying to get this Patch of Shore card to obviously keep Genthru and his group from actually completing the game. They wind up finding out, too, very quickly in the episode that Genthru's group now has 97 cards, so they only need 2 more cards, one of them being Patch of Shore, which, of course, is the one that they've kind of figured out how to get to it, having the 15 players, being able to do the one-on-one, sport-based contest with Razor and his 14 demons. So Sagara says, okay, that's cool, we'll team up with you. And then Killua goes, show us your Ren first, buddy. We'll see if we want you after that. And I really loved how he turned the tables on him, because this is the same guy that, if you remember, back at the end of the Phantom Troop arc and the beginning of this one, he pretty much, waved Gon and Killua off and said, you guys aren't strong enough. Then when they came back, then he was a little more impressed with them, but still kind of had that cocky, aloof, I'm better than you attitude because I have white eyebrows and dark hair, So, anyways, I think it was kind of cool, because then he goes and they say, show me your ability, right? So he goes and he fires up in the air, and he can fly. He can float, he can fly. And he's like, that's not even my record. My record is 16 meters, 80 centimeters, which is approximately, 50 feet, 40, 50 feet, somewhere in that neighborhood. I think about 50 if I figure it right in my head. So anyway, so Gon and Killua both go and they're like, oh, cool, that's awesome. And then they go, and they charge and fire up in the air, too. And for them, it's like a contest. Killua gets higher up than Gon, they go back down. Then they want to fire back up in the air to get even higher. They're pretty much just next-level characters that can go and look at something like this now, and they've become so proficient in just their short time and the couple of months training with Bisky that it seems like they're able to go and mimic and even ape some of these, these Nen-like abilities. So, very cool stuff. Anyway, the bottom line is Sagara and his couple guys, and they wind up recruiting some other kind of nobodies, some nameless, faceless guys, wind up, going and training for about a week or so, running all these different scenarios. They know about 8 of the actual sports that'll be played, and then they go back to Razor's, gym, and where his guys are, right? So anyway, they start going through these different things, and they start out with the boxing ring again. And we find out that the guy that's the teleporter, he only can, use the teleportation ability when he's actually in a certain part of the ring in the center of this Nen circle, that's on there, this kind of sign on there. Anyway, what winds up happening is the first 3 matches, they're just very handily defeated, Razor's group, right? And you need 8 wins, of course, to actually, get what they need, right? What they came here for. So then, that big, fat, kind of sumo dude that looks like, I don't know, like some huge, like, crazy professional wrestler, barrel-chested, big belly, the dude that Gon wound up kicking in the face, because he was in that, the Ring of Fire or whatever, and then, of course, he got knocked out by Killua when he lit him on fire. His name is Bopopo. Anyway, Bopopo goes and says, you know what, fuck this, I'm gonna take all you outside now and kill you, or I'm gonna take you outside and kill you. And Razor tells him to calm the fuck down, right? And he doesn't listen, and then he goes and he tries and takes to get the other guys to go and kind of do a mutiny, right? He goes and he says, no, it's fine, we can escape, we can escape back to the real world, we can finally escape here. If we all fight against him, we can overthrow him, right? Razor warned his ass. Razor goes and fires up this Nen ball of energy and just goes and whips it at him. And this is where I enjoy the way that everything is done in the anime. Instead of just going and having it hit his head and just having his head pop in an explosion of blood, right, and gore that's completely unnecessary for any reason, for any age, for whatever, he goes and it winds up hitting his head, and then as it throws his head back, and you can't actually see his head in the shot the way the perspective is of it, you see the blood pop and you hear the popping sound, which for me is much more poignant, and it's much more, holy shit, he just blew his freaking head off, you know? But Bopopol winds up going, he was warned, he falls to the ground, headless, of course. And we wind up finding out that he's going in Killua, basically Sagara winds up telling them, hey, it's because we're in the real world, and Hisoka goes and confirms it. Actually, Hisoka's the one who comes out and says, yeah, because we're in the real world. What winds up happening is Bopopo, he was actually like this rapist and murderer. He was basically like this hardened evil criminal, right? 11 counts of it and everything else, you know? And basically Razor and his devils, or whatever you want to call them, these pirates that he's recruited, they're all people that maybe were prisoners or should have been on death row, and they've been imprisoned and put in the game over here, and saying to other people, making other people aware that this is actually the real world is like a breaking of their code, their credo, whatnot. So that's why he was killed, right? So anyway, so Razor goes, so then they're like, well, who gets the win for that one? Because that guy was scheduled to do the sumo stuff, Bopopol, right? He says, no, it's fine, you can have the win. So they give the win to one of their back guys, their chumps. They basically, what they had is they got Sagara, they've got Bisky, they've got Gon Killua, they've got Hisoka, and of course Gorenyu, Gorenyu, I think his name is. So they basically got like 6 like legitimate people that can fight in these contests and whatnot. And then Sagara's got a couple other guys too, you know. So anyways, these other people they recruited were basically just there to kind of go and fill in the spots because they needed 15 total spots. So these guys are starting to freak, especially when they see Bopopo get taken down and everything. Then Razor says, you know what we're going to do? Fuck all this. We're going to do an 8-on-8 dodgeball, right? This crazy-ass dodgeball. And you field your team of 8. I'll have my team of 8. And all of a sudden, he just goes with his nen, and he pulls up like 7 of these cool-looking, like demon-looking things, right? So then they go and they're like, oh, that's why he's Razor and the 14 demons. The 14 demons is his nen ability. That's probably how many he can command or control at once, you know? One of these demons winds up being a referee and everything, too. They're all numbered behind him. So a lot of the weaklings go and just, oh, shit, we got to get out of here, right? we got to get out. We want to get the fuck out of Dodge. And they're trying to explain, no, it's okay. You don't even just stand in there. We just need a couple of you. Well, they wind up taking off, and now they only have 6. You know, they can only field a decent team of 6, right? That's not scared and shit in their pants. So Gorenyu goes and actually reveals his nen ability, and he goes and creates these 2, like, apes, these 2 gorillas or whatever, and he says, why, I assume since you did the same thing, that we can do that as well. It's fine to field a team like that. And he goes, I don't care, as long as there's 8. That's his big deal. As long as there's 8, I don't give a shit. So they go and they start this crazy-ass game of dodgeball, and man, they explain all the rules to it, and it's basic dodgeball if you're not used to it as far as how things go. You know, if it deflects off one player and then comes back to that side and is caught, that player is actually safe, but the other player is out. You know, there's just, it's all the basic rules of dodgeball. There's a couple little twists on it. But obviously, too, everybody having nen abilities, they can throw it with more force and more weight, more speed, and everything else, you know. So Razor, I mean, I'm sure his demon guys are competent, but Razor's really the one that's the focal point. So he winds up giving them the first shot, you know. And Killua goes and you know, fields the ball, gives it to Gorenyu. Gorenyu goes and winds up taking a guy out, you know, boom, like it was nothing. Takes another guy out, boom, you know, 2 down. This shit's easy, right? So then Razor kind of taunts him, like, hey, come at me, bro. And he goes and he charges up and he throws this fastball right across the court. And I just love how the animation just runs so beautifully, you know, and whatever frames per second they're using and everything else, it's sweet. It's solid, okay? It doesn't stutter. It doesn't dry. It looks good, you know? The conveyance of the motion, the action, the color, and then, of course, that mixed with the great sound. Beautiful. Just the soundtrack, everything. Anyway, he winds up reaching out one hand. Razor does, and he just, boom, he catches that sumbitch. I'm looking, wow, you know? So, so anyway, I thought as far as that worked, though, is that then because he caught the ball, that then Gorenyu would be out. But I guess that's not how it is. He just actually now has possession of or has the ball. So he goes and he says, all right, get ready for my ability, you know, and he charges it up and he fires this thing at him. And everybody remembers just that energy ball that came off and, you know, how it hit Bopopo, you know. And he assured everybody beforehand that, of course, they were going to use a real ball, but you could use Nen to infuse it or to charge it, right? So anyway, right, and he's sitting there, it's great, in this split second that the ball's coming at him, Gorenyu's like, fuck, can I dodge it? No, it's too fast, you know? And I'm thinking in my mind, at the time it took you to think you could dodge it, you could have dodged it, you know? But all right, that's fine. So he goes and he's like,
you know, can I take the hit? No, it'll kill me, right? At the very last second, he goes and actually does this ability, uses part of his ability where he actually switches places with one of his gorillas that's actually on the outskirts. He's the guy that's on the outside of the court that can throw the ball back in or pass it around, you know, one of the passers. And switches, and the gorilla just blown apart, man, to nothing, you know, head blown off, everything else. Now, it's just a Nen gorilla, but still, you know, animal cruelty and all that. No, but, so, I just thought it was cool, just the whole way this thing goes. So anyway, so they wind up getting the ball back, Killua gets it, and they decide to give it to Hisoka. And they're like, hell yeah, Hisoka can use his bungee gum to retrieve the ball. He can pop a dude and then bring it back, pop a dude and then bring it back, right? So he starts off by doing that. He pops a dude and brings it back. This is going to be easy, right? Razor's the one that's going to be the trouble, okay? So at one point, too, which I thought was nice, Gon, when he realizes that this is actually part of the outside world, and that Razor's actually one of the game masters, because Sagara tells him that, Gon's like, oh, so you know my father, Jing? You know my father? You know the piece of shit that never talks to me, that left me, that abandoned me, and now I'm chasing after his coattails here? Well, he leaves me no breadcrumbs or clues to find him. Anyway, Razor goes and says, I have a message from you, from your father, you know? Or I was told by your old man not to go easy on you, you know, when you got here. So basically, his old man's a dick, and he wants people to go and be as much of a dick as they can to Gon as well. Anyway, regardless of whether you agree or not with the whole parenting issue with Jing, it doesn't really matter to me. I kind of more do it up for laughs than anything. But that's just not personally how I would handle things with children. Anyway, so he goes and Hisoka goes to use it again on these other guys, you know, and they're hoping they can take out number 6 and number 7 at the same time. At the last second, these two sumbitches just go merge into one big dude and actually catch Hisoka's ball. And of course, he's got the bungee gum on it. Hisoka's trying to pull it back. He can't, right? He eventually just goes and okay, let's go. You know, there's no erection for that. And winds up letting it go, you know. So then they got the ball back, and Razor's going to come at him with another hit, you know. So Gon and Killua both go and just, they use their Ken, and they just start going crazy, right? Just aura, you know, just emanating from, and they're ready to go. So Razor's like, all right, that's it. I ain't going to go easy on you, Gon. And he comes right at him, and he charges this sumbitch up and fires it at him, right? Gon goes and right at the last minute obviously goes and uses his Ko and is able to go in and push all his strength, his defensive strength, into his hands and his face, right? Ball hits his ass, right? Gon actually gets lifted out of his boots and goes flying back like 50 feet, 100 feet to the back and smashes into the wall while the ball deflects off of his hands because he tried to catch it and goes straight up into the ceiling and drills into the ceiling like 20 feet, right? Gon goes, they're like, Gon, and Bisky's running for him, Killua's running for him. Are you okay? Are you okay? He gets up, his head is bleeding, right? And he's like, I'm fine, leave me be. He explains that he put all of his everything into his face and his hands or whatever, but then his legs couldn't handle the impact, so that's why it knocked him out of his boots. But Gon's little, man, you know what I love about Gon is just that singular focus, you know, and just that I am not going to lose. And Gon's like, yeah, but I'll be ready next time. I'm like, oh, yeah. So that's how the episode ends off, right? In the midst of this freaking crazy-ass Nen dodgeball game. And this dude, Razor, man, he is some next-level shit, right? But they still got some pretty strong people, too, on their team. Sagara wound up getting knocked out, but, you know, he was kind of, I don't know, I never really liked the guy that much or thought much of him anyway. But we know Bisky's pretty hardcore. Gon and Killua are going to give him a run for their money. I'm not sure how it works out since they caught Hisoka's ball if he's out, because I didn't actually see him step out, and the rules got a little confusing to me, because when Razor first caught the ball from Gorenyu still stayed in and wound up taking it. Anyways, regardless, so I mean, I get the general idea and purpose of the game, but very, very cool stuff, and ended in just an awesome fashion. So my episode question for you, brothers and sisters, are what do you think now of Razor and his Nen ability? Finding out that Razor and the 14 Devils are not these pirates and degenerates that he has with him, that it's actually 14, I'm assuming 14 like ghosts or like Nen embodiments or whatever, clones that he can go and create. Anyway, leave your answer to that question in the comments down below. Feel free to hit the thumbs up, the like button if you should think that I deserve it, and subscribe if you haven't done so already. We will look forward to catching all of you in the next fun, Nen Nation. And I want you to subscribe to my other channels and to follow me on Twitter and Facebook and Instagram as well.